Welcome to Witchy Work Wishes, a place to find your weekly inspiration for bringing your personal witchcraft into your business, work, and office. Welcome to Witchy Work Wishes. I am your host, Charlene, and today you are joining me for episode number 5, all about digital design work for your business. I have my first ever guest speaker, Annika, with us today. She is the owner of Wolf and Raven, a digital design company. In just a little bit, I'll have Annika join us. But first, I always like to start my podcast off with some witchy things I did over the weekend to help with my practice. And yeah, it was one of those weekends. I had a really, really lazy weekend as far as my witchcraft practice goes. I did a bunch to tend to my home and hearth. I went shopping for groceries and pet food and bought a bunch of birdseed and peanuts for all my crows and birds. I cleaned my home and did laundry and, in general, got a good vibe going for November starting. I did stay in all weekend, though. It was just one of those weekends. So one night I popped a bunch of popcorn and watched Hocus Pocus 2, which was super cute. On Sunday, though, I did slow down and I did a nice card pull. I took my time and lit my candles and incense. I calmed my mind with some Viking music and really focused on my animal oracle deck and what I wanted to ask. I have so many changes coming up with my business, and I would like to make sure that I'm on the right path. So that is where I centered most of my energy around on Sunday. The card pull said I was on track, which honestly, I feel like I am too. But it was nice to get some reassurance to stay on course and focus on the positive changes that I'm making for actually what's happening right now, but certainly for 2023. I did update my November podcast schedule, and I have the following episodes drafted. So next week, I have Tea Rituals at Work, which will be airing on November 9th. On the 16th, I will be talking about essential oil blends for work focus. Then I'll be jumping into Tuesday is Mars Day on 11/23, which is a hard follow after our amazing Monday Moon Day episode. And the last one for November will be about shopkeepers' bells, which will air on 11/30 and will be perfect for ringing in December. So I actually had something totally different on schedule for next week, but we put in a whole loose leaf tea bar at my office, and I'm so excited about just how it looks and how the vibe has changed. So I really wanted to talk about it, so I bumped it to next week's episode, just so I could talk about it sooner. I have to say my employees and I are just loving it. It's a total afternoon game changer. So next week's episode will be all about the loose leaf tea bar and how it's affecting us and what we can do in our office and business to embrace it on your end as well. And I'll have lots of pictures to post. All right, moon status this week. So the moon this Wednesday is in her first quarter, and then she'll be waxing gibbous starting tomorrow, which of course is all leading up to the November full moon that will be happening next week. The full moon next week will be a biggie. I'll spend some more time on this in my next episode, but we will have a lunar eclipse happening with our November full moon. Okay, let's jump into today's main topic and my first ever guest speaker, yay! Annika from Wolf and Raven. I'm so excited to have her join us today. Annika, I'll let you introduce yourself and tell us a little about your company and where we can find you online.
Hello, and thank you for having me. My name is Annika, and first of all, I just want to mention that I have been a practicing witch for about 9 years. And I recently just started up my own website design business. I also offer development and SEO services called Wolf and Raven Digital Design.
Woohoo! Yay! Okay, so Annika, before we jump into digital design work, I always like to start my episodes off with 3 witchy things I did over the weekend, and I would love to ask you what you did over the weekend too. Personally, I didn't have a big stellar weekend with lots of work on my practice. I don't know, I just wasn't feeling it this weekend. But how about you? What are 3 witchy things you did over the weekend to help with your personal practice?
So one of the first things I did was carve pumpkins, which might seem super mundane, but I think if as a practicing Wiccan or pagan or, whatever you identify as, it can be something really fun. So I put on some candles, got some herbal tea going, and then, carved some pumpkins and kind of wanted to celebrate Samhain in a different kind of way.
Okay, so what did you carve?
A raven, of course. Yeah, so I carved a little raven in a windowsill. That's about it.
I love it.
After one pumpkin, I got over it.
One pumpkin's a lot of work. It takes time.
It is, and you don't realize how messy the guts and stuff are. I don't
Wait,
like
did you
it.
save the pumpkin seeds?
No.
Oh.
I know.
Yeah, it's okay.
Very not witchy of me. I should have saved them. Okay, so then the next thing, I'd say probably when I made my homemade pomegranate rosemary lemonade.
You did not.
I did. So my coworker dropped off some wonderful freshly picked pomegranates, and simple, super simple. Just lemons, sugar, fresh rosemary from a garden, pomegranates.
That sounds so
Yeah,
yummy.
I think anything you're doing in the kitchen can be like. I always feel super witchy, at least.
For sure, I do too.
All the intentions and stuff like that.
Yep.
One of the last things I did was kind of a spell/ritual. So I did a cleansing spray for home and office.
Nice.
So first thing I did was I picked rosemary, and whenever I'm picking things when it comes to spell work or whatever, I like to kind of tell the plant what its job is. You kind of always see that in movies, I guess, when the cartoon witches always go, oh, frog for this, or head of newt for this. But I think in real life, it's actually important to do that.
Yeah.
So telling the rosemary what it's meant to be cleansing or banishing or whatever. So then I boiled that in some moon water for about 30 minutes. And it was waning moon water, so, trying to get rid of certain things. And then after that, so I have some really cool spellbook paper that is homemade from my Book of Shadows. And so what I did is I wrote an incantation on it, and it was kind of customized as to what I want the ash to bring in and bring out or whatever. So, and then I burnt that. I used the ash to make black salt with crushed charcoal. And then after that, I mixed it with the rosemary water and added a little bit of Florida water, make it super potent. And then I strained. It was super needed. And it makes it smell better. I don't want it to just smell like salt water. And then after that, I strained it into a little spray bottle.
Nice.
So,
okay, then what did you do with the spray bottle?
Go around, and what I like to do is I always kind of do it in a pentacle whenever I'm warding or protecting or anything like that. So I sprayed it in that, or in the 4 corners. You can do that too. Yep. And, just say your little incantation, what you wanted to bring in and take out,
And were you able to do your whole office, or just your space?
Yes, the whole office.
Yeah, it was
so,
needed.
And definitely more concentrated in certain areas than others. But so I think it was more like a ritual spell, or you can kind of customize it to whatever you want, because you can do it at home too.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get on to today's topic. I understand you want to talk about 3 main areas for digital design. You've got website design, website development, and then SEO, which I have no idea what that means.
You will.
So I'm really excited to be talking about this today and learning more about digital design work.
Yeah, so for the first topic, I want to talk a little bit more about website design in general, which a lot of people get this super mixed up when building a website and actually designing it. So designing it is, the creative or the designer is actually going to build the website and what it looks like. Okay. And that's really what it's about. When it comes to me working with clients or any idea that I have, whether it's for a portfolio or whatever, I think it's really important to take the clients' ideas and whatever they have in their head and execute that in the best way possible and even more, hopefully.
So if you were sitting down with somebody and they're launching their new business, or maybe even an old business that they just don't have any, social presence on, what would you ask? Like, if I was coming to you, what would be the key things you would say? Hey, Charlene, what about this? What about, this? What would you be looking for?
Yeah. So first I would definitely do a little bit of research on their business type and what it is. A big thing is their customers and who they're trying to reach. And so I can then take that and, there's a lot of design principles and laws and stuff like that. There's trends. Sure. And you need to make sure that you're within those margins, but also it's really catering to the people that they want to reach out to. So ultimately, it really should bring in more clients for them, more business for them.
And so for the website side of it, do they already need to have a logo? Do they need to have like all of this stuff ready to go and say, here, Annika, this is everything I have, and then you start designing what you think would be a good website for them, or how does that part work?
Absolutely not. They do not have to have anything. So I have a lot of experience in design and art, so that's something that I would definitely try to offer them is, like, what do they want? Do they want logo design, something like that? If they already do, that's great because it's good to have a brand presence already, and that's something for me to kind of start off on. What was the other question?
Do they need to have the logo? Would you say no, they don't? You would help them with that. But basically, if they do, or if they can talk to you about what their business is, you can help create a logo and then start designing a website that would not only talk about their business, but attract customers, the appropriate customers.
Yeah, exactly. And I would definitely ask them to, like when a new client, say, would come on, is, bring reference photos and what their idea is of what their website should look like in their heads.
Yeah.
And then ultimately that's my job to come up with a bunch of different ideas and we kind of hone in on one. Because I think a lot of people who don't know the industry or the business, they just picture a plain website and it's good enough, but they see the difference once you have an actual, like, I'd say beautiful, like your eyes want to feast on this website. Like you don't realize the difference it really makes.
Sure.
Except like, when you have it up.
And you don't do the content, right? That's up for the owner's stuff. Like you will create the layout or the website design, but they need to come up with the content of what's going to be said in there, right?
Exactly. And so, it's their job to provide the photos, the domain name if they want. I can set it up. Whatever they want actually on their website. I can do a little bit of research. It's nice, but, you know, it's just more time at that point. But, yeah.
For sure. Okay. So anything else with like website design? Like if they are starting to make notes, if they've got their company or their business and they're starting to make notes, what should they be kind of writing down? They're going to need a homepage, right? Come up with the content for that, and you would design the flow for what that should look like.
Right, and so it definitely can look like that. There's a lot of things that can be done with one landing page. And so I've done a couple websites where it's just one really long page and a couple links will take you to certain areas of that page. It's up to the client at that point if they want it to be more interactive. We can have multiple pages. There can be links. There can be pay now buttons, all that stuff. It's really what they want to offer. Or if it really is just, here's my business, reach out to me this way.
Which is sometimes... That's exactly what somebody needs.
Yeah, that's exactly what
Nothing elaborate, just a contact page. Okay.
Exactly.
All right, so second area we were going to talk about was website development. What does that mean?
Yes, so after the design work and everything, is good, the client likes it, I like it, and we come to a good spot where it's ready to start building. That's where I take the design and within the software that I use, I actually, build the interactive website by code. Sometimes it's custom code. Luckily, the software that I use, it's kind of like a designing coding software, so it codes for me.
You don't have to write
exactly.
Code.
So luckily I do know a little bit of code, but it's really, really useful not to have to do that because, I could focus on what I like, and that's designing. I like offering this because sometimes people already have designs that they have and they just need someone to help get their website actually up.
Okay.
So, for a smaller price or fee or whatever it is, or even site integrations, say they're on GoDaddy and they want to put it onto Webflow, that's something I can offer and,
Okay.
It's a lot easier, yeah.
So for the development side of things, what should they be ready to do with you? Truly just...
So at that point, if they just want to do a development, they should have all their content ready, all of the wireframes and what their website actually is going to look like, any assets. So that would be their logos, their vector files, everything that I'm going to need to get it up and develop it and get it up and running.
Okay. All right. Okay. So I have no idea what your last one is. SEO. I think I even wrote SEO, and then you were like, no.
Yeah. So SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization. And this is something that not a lot of people know about or think it's that important. But so it really goes hand in hand, but this is something that you can run. You can run like an SEO campaign separately. And really the goal of this is to get you on the first page of Google.
So if I go into Google, I search for digital design, or whatever it is, do you have to pay for that, or is that?
So yes, there are certain things that you have to pay for. So like me as a designer, you would pay however long the campaign would run for, and it would be a monthly fee. And there's multiple things that I can do within your website, coding and Google crawl and all this, certain little things that add up. So it does take about like 6 months to start to notice, but it's really, really useful. So yeah, you could go onto Google and say design services in Southern California, and we want you to be that very first one. Yeah, and so certain ways you can do this is like I can make sure the organization of the development and the design work, so Google can actually go in and like they kind of scan through. So your first header, there's a lot of little different tricks that you can do to increase the traffic on your website.
And are there keywords that need to be said that they're going to pick up on, or is it that type of a thing? Like people typically search for this, and every time somebody searches for that, you want your company to pop up, or? Yeah,
exactly. So that would kind of be my job.
That's yours.
So I would say, okay, what are people going to look for? They're going to look for a website designer. They're going to look for digital designer. They're going to look for development, website, like all those little keywords, even designer in California, designer in, wherever you are. I can try to think of as many keywords that anyone would be able to just go into Google and search.
Yeah.
And you want to have Google be able to find you.
Okay.
Instead of on page 56, because that's annoying. And
nobody ever goes to page 56.
Trust me.
Okay, so that is super helpful. I don't even know.
Yeah.
I didn't know that acronym at all. That's awesome. Okay, so if we were going to wrap this up, even if we don't keep this in 30 minutes,
I feel like it's hard.
So
quick.
It's okay. We can go over a little bit. I try to, because I always think that this should be like a quick one for witchy work wishes. We go over. It's okay, though. All right, so we've got website design, website development, and then SEO.
Yes.
And then are there any, if somebody was just starting off and making notes from this podcast and they wanted to reach out to somebody or even you, do they need to have any understanding of these three at all? Or could they come to you and literally say, I have no idea. I just need help. I know I need a presence online with a website.
Definitely the second answer. You don't need anything, which I know some designers, they do prefer that. Personally, I really like being able to help startups. Because you kind of bounce off of each other's ideas. You take advantage of each other's strengths. So your strength as a business owner would be, your business, you know who you want to reach, and so on and so forth. And my strength is making that happen by creating your business, making it accessible, really, because everyone's going digital. Everyone is going into the future of computers. So the website would be able to be viewed on like a tablet or your iPhone, and it would look just as good, because a lot of people are just going to do a quick search on their iPhone.
All right, what about, this is kind of a little off subject, but how personal does this creation process and design process need to be? Do you find sometimes you'll be working with somebody and you're like, yeah, no.
Yeah.
I'm not vibing with you, and this is you need to have that connection to create a killer website for them? Or?
So I wouldn't say it definitely helps, because I've always been that kind of person where I'll exceed in something that I love. Even in school, when you have to do those book reports, I wouldn't even read the book if I didn't care.
Yeah.
So when it comes to working with businesses, I definitely try to approach or work with people that I can see myself working with in the future, or something that I would stand by. If not, I don't think it's really that big of a deal either. Like if it was a restaurant or something like that, like sure, I love food, so that would be great.
Yeah.
But any other business or practice, it's not hard to
get your direction. Like once you have guidance, you can kind of take it and run.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Because there's a lot of design trends and stuff like that, and
and you're there to advise them. They don't have to be your best friend, or you don't have to be right. You just go.
Exactly. I mean, the goal is that they're going to love their website, but at that point, I really like to offer CSS too, which is something that I can hand over to the business owner, so they can actually go in and edit their content without changing the design. So once it's over to them, they don't have to keep bugging me. It's something, you don't have to reach out to your designer and pay me an extra whatever to change a picture. That's something that I can just hand over and say, here's your design. And then this is where you change your content, and this paragraph, your headings, your pictures, and stuff like that.
And is there a certain software that they need to have to be able to do this, or what do you recommend?
I personally use Webflow because it's super, super user-friendly, and no matter what kind of page you have, it already guarantees security.
That's nice.
Yeah, and it has SEO features in that already, so even if you don't choose to do like the SEO campaign for an extra fee or whatever, it definitely helps get your website going on Google just by itself.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Okay, so just to help us wrap it up, what is there any like top things you would recommend for somebody starting on this? I think I said that a while ago.
I don't remember.
We went down a different tangent. Was there anything you can like just kind of help wrap up to close it out for the listeners?
I guess if you're a business owner, a new business owner, a long-term business owner, or you just want a website, you're selling clothes or whatever, even if your business itself isn't very creative, I think it's a good idea to have in mind what you want it to look like. Because it's not a bad idea to leave it fully into the designer's hands. But I mean, it is your business and you want it to be personal, and you want also to be proud of your own website, and you want to show it to people and have their friends show it to people and stuff like that.
Okay. Well, this has been a huge eye-opener. I don't know. This is not my world at all. So this is amazing.
That's okay.
And thank you. I really appreciate you being here, and everybody gets to learn more about digital design and your company. If they have more questions for you, where can people reach you?
So I don't have my domain name quite set up yet, but we can put a link.
Yeah.
Other than that, I have an Instagram, and it is Wolf and Raven Digital Design, all one word. And I have an email, which is wolfandravendigital@gmail.com.
That's perfect.
Yes.
And I'll be sure to add those in the show notes too, so people don't have to write it down right now.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. Well, Annika, thank you so much for joining me today. This was amazing. And I love that you were my first guest and we got to go back and forth.
Me too. Thank you so much for having me.
All right.
Goodbye.
Thank you for joining me today at Witchy Work Wishes, a place to find your weekly inspiration for bringing your personal witchcraft into your business, work, and office. For more information and additional content, please visit me online at witchyworkwishes.com. You can send an email to info@witchyworkwishes.com or follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Just search for Witchy Work Wishes.